I love when crazy reprints actually just add some darn good value to a product. Make sure you guys smash the little grab button, that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more little updates here. So we're just decided we wanted to add some crazy value onto that upcoming Dark World structure deck. Yes, in December, ladies and gentlemen, you will get the chance to get cheap skill drains. You love to see it. I mean, skill drains been reprinted up teen times at this point, but you know, due to like the card coming back to 3, you know, the hype built around older formats, you know, and we just came off of a Lost Art and the reprint in Hidden Arsenal here. I'll take $3 skill drains all day long, valued in to a nice little structure deck here. And I mean, to top things off here, I mean, you get the Dark World structure deck as well. And then, of course, honestly, like a token collector reprint is fine and dandy. Like, I'm okay with the fact that they decided that they wanted to go ahead and wrap token collector up in here as a very nice and easy to get reprint as well. Because, I mean, once again, when you look at these structure decks, I mean, obviously skill drain's not going to sell as well as like a Pot of Prosperity or another Pot of Extravagance reprint. Yeah, sure. But, I mean, when you're looking at the overall theme of what Dark World is supposed to do, ladies and gentlemen, you kind of go, oh, yeah, that generally makes sense here. Now, last week we got some other reprints that were going to be built into the deck. I mean, these aren't exactly on the level of skill drain here, but I mean, you got what? The Bury Your Statue of Dark, which is whatever. You got Lilith, which is also whatever. And you have Absolute King, you know, Backjack here. Actually kind of getting a common reprint for the first time in his life. I'm actually... Right, that's the first time because he was available only in gold for us here. So, I mean, you know, the dark barrier statue is kind of a joke in my opinion because, like, nobody really cares about like, oh boy, I'm playing a dark deck. I'm just go ahead and make dark is one of the easiest accessible elements inside the game. You know, Pain's already crying the volcanics don't get support. So imagine, you know, rolling out the dark barrier statue and getting laughed at. Now, you know, the rest of the structure deck here, for those of you that are wondering, yes, this big guy right here, the Devil King of the Dark World, aka Skittles. So you're probably like, well, you know, skill drain, I don't remember much about original Dark Worlds. Well, I mean, they all basically pseudo go, oh, my hand, throw hand to graveyard. All right, yay, trigger effects. And they don't give two craps about what happens on the field usually. So you special summon this card from your graveyard, returning 1 level 7 or lower Dark World monster you control the hand. That's pretty much the same summoning conditions as our friend original Grapha, which would bounce back one of the previous pieces to his hand as well to recur out. You know, it's basically a game of how many times can I get the little guys on the field to bounce back for the big boss monsters. If Skittles is discarded or by card effect and sent to the graveyard, you get to add a level 5 or higher Dark World monster from your deck to your hand, except for Skittles. Then if it was discarded by your opponent, it's going to be really weird because that's not going to happen all that much. You can special summon a level 4 or lower Dark World monster from your deck or graveyard to either field. I do want to point out here, once again, the best Dark World effects are when your opponent discards them. And we haven't had a discard format in how long? You know, delinquent, confiscation, you know, the card, even graceful charity, you know, card destruction is still limited to 1. Oh no, does that mean they could bring card destruction back on a future list? I don't know. We also got the Dark World Puppeteering. You can target up to 3 cards in your graveyard, banish them, and then discard a Fiend monster from your graveyard. I mean, it's not a quick play that gives you interruption on the opponent's graveyard. That's fine. And then during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 of your banished Fiend monsters, and add it to your hand. I mean, it's a level of recurability. I mean, the first 2 cards that you've seen out of the Dark World structure deck might not seem too enticing to you, but I mean, this is the piece of candy right here that got a lot of people genuinely excited. So this was your Grapha Dragon, Lord of the Dark World, which is our old friend, by the way. You know, the old boss monsteroo in the archetype, plus any dark monster. I wish it was just any Dark World monster plus a dark monster, and I would have been happy, but I understand. When your opponent activates a normal spell, trap card, or a monster effect, you can make the effect become your opponent discards a card. Now, there's a lot of fancy little interactions with this that are really like triggering a lot of people to going, oh my gosh, like Necromane interactions and things like that. It's an interesting take on the ideas in which people will, you know, loop to and things like that. But I don't know. it seems very, very reaching for some of the combo pieces here. And if this Fusion Summon card leaves the field by your opponent, you special summon one of your Graph of the Dark Lord of the Dragon Worlds that is banished in your graveyard, and then each player discards a card. Honestly, that's really good. If you notice, like, with the Ice Barrier structure deck, Konami really is trying to do this thing with these modern-era boss monsters here that floats them back to the field, or involves their previous predecessors, which is actually pretty good in concept. I'm actually very happy that they did that. And then we got the Dark World Ascension. So this is on a quick play spell card, by the way. During the main phase, you can fusion summon one Fiend Fusion monster from your extract by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your field and or graveyard. Alright, if summoning a Dark World Fusion monster, this way you can discard cards from your hand as material. Now, the thing you care about here is discard from your hand. It also gives you the ability to banish from the graveyard as well if you really need to. But I mean, sticking the Dark World cards on the stack on the resolution seems pretty good to me. And during the main phase, or during your main phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can add it to your hand and then discard a Dark World monster. I wish it said Dark World card, but you know, you can always grasp what straws here. And then, of course, you're getting the original Dark World stuff reprinted in here. Best card, by the way. Best original draw. You know, Dark World dealings. Honestly, more cheap Dark World dealing reprints are always a win, in my opinion. And, of course, Grapha itself. Now, there was an extension of good stuff that we got here. There were 3 extra cards that definitely added into the fray here. One was Genta here. You can discard this card to add a Gates of the Dark World from your deck to your hand. So happy that we have a discard search. And if this card is banished and you control a Dark World card, you can revive itself. It's a level 4 that can step back onto the field that you can go ahead and add back to your hand. But I mean, you really care about the interaction point for this being able to search for that gate. Alright, because gate is still the best thing you've got. And then we got good old Pearl here. This is discarded to the graveyard by card effect. And target one Dark World monster in your graveyard, except for Pearl. Special summon it to either field. Then, if this card was discarded by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one Fiend monster that is banished in your hand or in your graveyard to either field. Still big sad here that Pearl wasn't more useful. This is actually one of the biggest failures in the archetype, I think. And then we got the Dark World Library here. During your main phase, you can discard a Dark World monster, and if you do, all Dark World monsters currently control gain attack equal to the discarded monster's level times 100. But the first effect triggers the second effect of if your monster or monster's original type is Fiend is discarded by the effect of a Dark World card, this card right here, or an opponent's card, you can discard one, draw 2, which means more facilitation for the Dark World stuff. And then we finally get a reprint on Lucent. Finally! Alright? We finally get Landium here. And then good old Ceruli, Fabled Raven. And then all of your other favorite cards here. Now, the biggest question is, you know, with the reprint coming in the structure deck, you look at card destruction as a card in the current modern era of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't think they're going to errata it, because honestly, in my personal opinion, 3 card destructions existing in the format without a once per turn clause seems a little bit toxic to me. Alright, like, the thing that Konami's proven to us in the past is, you know, they can revisit certain of these cards and go, alright, you know, we can slap a once per turn clause on them. And, you know, with releasing a Dark World structure deck like this would be a good time to update card destruction to a hard once per turn. I wouldn't feel too bad about, a lot of people might feel indifferent about this, but you can move card destruction to 3, honestly, if you put the once per turn requirement on the card to be able to filter through only one copy of it. Alright, we give a lot of decks a little bit more interesting interactions. Maybe I'm just a little bit crazy in that regard here, but just my 2 cents. But overall, setting up for this structure deck, I mean, it's no Crystal Beast structure deck. I mean, you already know that this Crystal Beast structure deck, so many people like, I don't want Crystal Beast, Robbie. Like, the deck is so terrible. That's fine. You can come over here and get ready for the $3 skill drains that are just going to roll on out into the secondary market. So many people are going to look at this and go, oh, you know, maybe that is a good solid pickup. I honestly do think that long term, this is a good structure deck that you want to have. I mean, all structure decks go up in time, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Players seem to think that sealed product is a joke. Man, clown emojis. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Make sure you guys smash the little crap out of that subscribe button. And I will, in fact, see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.